if you're working with standard form. We wrote equations of quadratics looking at a graph and then also given a couple points in vertex form. Today we're going to do it in standard form. So standard form looks like y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. Bless you. Okay, now when we did this the other day, we were doing vertex form, right? And I gave you the vertex and a point on the graph, and that's all we needed. What I'm going to tell you today, though, is if we want to write a quadratic in standard form, you have to have 3 points. But I'm going to specifically say this. I'm going to say if you don't know the vertex. If I just say here's 3 points on a parabola, but I don't say like this one is the vertex. So if you don't know the vertex, that's when you're going to need 3 points. If you have a vertex and a point, you could use the vertex form like we did a couple days ago. But if I don't know the vertex or they don't tell me I have the vertex, then you need 3 points. And the reason you need 3 points is because you have 3 variables that you're going to solve for. In that standard form, I'm talking about A, B, and C. So you have 3 variables, and you're going to need 3 equations if you have 3 different variables. Like if we had systems, if you guys remember our last unit, we had 2 variables, you'd have to have 2 equations. 3 variables, you'd have to have 3 equations to solve it. So I'm going to have 3 variables here, so I need 3 equations. You're going to use the 3 points to create those 3 equations. Okay, so I'm going to slide this up. This is going to be a little throwback to our systems unit. So none of these say this is the vertex. I just give you 3 points that are in a quadratic graph. So each one of these are going to be points that I'm going to plug in those coordinates for x and y, and I'm going to use the standard form. So let me try and, I'm just going to grab a different color here real quick. All right, so for the first point that I have listed, I have -3, 36. So to plug that in, I'm just going to, let me slide this back down so you guys can see the standard form on the screen here just a little bit. Everywhere I see an x, I'm going to put the -3, and wherever I see y, I'm going to replace it with 36. The a, b, and c are going to be the variables we're going to solve for if we're trying to do standard form. So if I set this up, I'd have 36. All right, now it's a times x squared. Well, I know the x coordinate of the point is -3, so I'm putting that in. The a does not get squared. Just that number is going to get squared. That's a mistake a lot of times people will make on accident. And then it's b times x, which x I'm plugging in the x coordinate again, -3, and then just plus c. You will always have just plus c on the ends of these equations because there's no variable that you plug into that constant term. Now, here's my recommendation. I'm just going to simplify this just a teeny tiny bit. What do I get if I square -3? 9, right? So that first term is really 9a. What do I get if I take b times -3? It would be -3b. So I know this says plus, but I'm actually going to write this as -3b to simplify that. Because if I take b times that -3, what's really going to look like we're subtracting that term, and then plus c. Okay, now I'm literally just going to repeat that process with each of the points. So that'll give me 3 equations, and then we can use them for our 3 variables. So the second point they wrote down, this will be very nice for us, was 0, 3. Now, why I say this is really nice for us, because everywhere I see an x, I'm going to put a 0, and it's going to wipe out 2 of the terms. So the y coordinate there is 3. So you're going to start your equation out with 3. And then it would be a times 0 squared. That'll cancel. B times 0, that will also cancel. And then plus c. There's nothing that I plug in to that last term. The super nice part about this, those just wipe out. When you multiply by 0, it's just going to wipe out those terms. And so I actually right now know one of the 3 variables that I'm going to need. I still have to keep going because I still need another equation here. All right, so grab a different color if I got one. All right, the last point they give me is 415. So same process, y is going to go in place of y in your standard form. And then everywhere I see an x, I'm going to put the 4 this time. So a times 4 squared, b times 4, and it'll always end with plus c. Okay. What do I get if I square 4? 16. So this first term, don't square the a, you just square the number. That's the biggest mistake I see people make on these. It's just the number that gets squared. Now that middle term, just b times 4, so it'd be plus 4b and then plus c. Now, if I didn't have 0 as an x-coordinate for one of the points, that would maybe be annoying, and we'd have a system of 3 equations, 3 variables, which I still do have here. But this one's a little bit easier because I can actually just substitute. I'm going to make this just a little bit bigger here. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to replace c with 3 in both of these lovely equations here. And I'm just going to, I probably should have given us a little bit more space. What I'm going to do, if I put 3 here and I put 3 here, just to save some space, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to move that 3 to the other side of the equation. I just should have given us a little bit more room here. But on this first equation, if I move 3 to the other side, right, I plug it in for c, but if I move it to the other side, that would make that 36 into a 33. I'm just going to subtract that. So here's what I'm going to write. I'm going to write 9a minus 3b, and that would be equal to 33. Did I lose anybody on that? Okay, I'm just trying to save some space. Now, if I put in 3 for this one, I'm going to subtract it, so that 15 is going to become 12. So I'm just going to write down 16a plus 4b, and that equals 12. So then I went from my 3 equations with 3 variables to 2 equations with 2 variables. Does anybody know what we might do to keep going to figure out a and b there? Now I have a little bit smaller system. What variable you want to get rid of? Yeah, which one you want to do, a or b? Doesn't matter. B? I would have probably picked b because then I don't have to introduce a negative. Okay, what should I multiply the top line by? What should I multiply the bottom line by? Perfect. All right, so let's just go this one by 4, this one by 3. I would recommend, you could get rid of a here too, but I would recommend b because you've already got one positive and one negative, so you wouldn't have to introduce a negative, which might save you from making a mistake. All right, this guy's going to be 36a minus 12b. Oh my gosh, don't judge. I'm going to use my calculator. I don't know what that is. 132. And then we've got 48a plus 12b, which is going to cancel that out. And 3 times 12 is 36. So we're going to take 36 and 48, add them together. I get 84a. And then take the 132 and the 36. This will be 168. And then I'm just going to cut that in, it's going to be cut in half when I divide it by 84. So a is going to be 2. All right, so I have a and c. The only other thing I would need to write this quadratic in standard form is b. So you just got to back up one step. You can plug it in either one of these or either one of these. It's totally up to you. I'll tell you what, I'm just going to plug it. I don't know. I'm just going to plug it right there because I have a little bit of space. So I'm going to do 16 times 2 plus 4b would be equal to 12. I did not conserve my space well here. This would be 32 plus 4b equals 12. If I subtract that 32, I'm going to get 4b is negative 20. And that's nice number 2, so b is going to be negative 5. Now, to actually answer the question, to actually answer the question, I have to go back and I have to write standard form. So standard form, it's that ax squared plus bx plus c. So specifically for this question, then my answer would be y equals, my a value is 2, so it would be 2x squared. My b value was negative 5 minus 5x, and then plus 3. So that would be my answer with the a, b, and c values plugged back in. Okay, now I know that's a lot of work. That's how you would do that by hand. And now what I'm going to show you is how to do it on the calculator. Okay, is anybody having a question? Okay, I have to show you both. All right, now, to do this on the calculator, we're going to use what is called a quadratic regression. All right, so quadratic regression, and you have to have at least 3 points. You can do this for more. At least 3 points. It won't do it for 2. Even if you know one of them's the vertex, you have to do this on the calculator at least 3 points. All right, calculator is going to make the equation for you. And it's going to be based on whatever points that you plug in. It's just called a regression. So it's going to basically do like a line of best fit, only it's going to be a parabola of best fit for the 3 points that you put in. Okay, sometimes these are nice numbers, sometimes they are not. It depends on the question. We'll do some with some data later on, but these should be nice numbers when you go through and do them. But this is how you're going to do this. I'm going to write down my directions here. Okay, so we're just going to grab our calculator real quick. You are going to hit a button that says stat, and I'm going to try and pull my hand. It's kind of in the middle, the third button down, if you guys see it. Do you see the stat button? And that should be the same for an 83 or an 84. They're in this, these are the same directions. So we're going to hit this stat button, and they're going to give you this menu here that says edit. You should just go ahead from this screen, because we're going to put these points in. Just go ahead and put enter here. And you can see mine has some data in there. We're going to use list 1 and list 2. So really quickly, if you have something in here, you can't just clear this out from the actual table. You have to arrow up to the top where it says L1, that stands for list 1, hit clear and hit enter, and that will get rid of any data that you have there. So same thing, I'm going to arrow up to the top where it says L2, list 2. I'm going to hit clear and I'm going to hit enter, and that'll get rid of any data that we had there. Does anybody's calculator not start with L1? Okay, if you here's, I'm going to have you do this just really quick. Okay, don't use the delete key here. Okay, don't use the delete key. But let's say you accidentally did. Like, I can literally accidentally delete a whole column out, and we don't want to do that. So if you accidentally delete a column out, you're just going to hit that stat button. And then the very bottom, number 5, says Setup Editor. Just hit enter twice, and that'll reset it. So if you accidentally delete something you don't want to delete, just hit Stat, and then that number 5, Setup Editor. It just resets it. And now if you guys see, when I go back into that Edit menu, then I have all my columns back there. So you want it to start with list 1. Okay, here's what you're going to do. X values, you're going to type in list 1. Now, you have to hit enter after each one, and make sure if you've got a negative number, you use the negative key, don't use the subtraction sign. So I'm just going to type the X values. 1's -2, 1's 2, and 1 is 6. All you're going to do after that, you're going to put the corresponding Y value next to the X value it goes with. Just use your arrow key in list 2. So like -2 went with -21, so those should be right next to each other. And then I have 2 going with 3, enter in between each, and -5 going with the 6. Is anybody having trouble entering those? Sorry, I guarantee it's capable of doing that. I just don't know how. Okay, now once you're here, what you're going to do is you're going to hit that lovely stat button one more time after you enter the data, and it takes you back here. Now, use the arrow key across the top. You want to go to the menu that says Calc, that says standing for Calculate. And The fifth, it should be the fifth one down. It says quadreg, that stands for quadratic regression. Any kind of a regression, it's just the calculator taking the points that you've entered and trying to make a model based on those points. So if I pick this one, it'll make a quadratic equation that'll go through those 3 points to the best of its ability. So you're going to pick, it should be number 5, it says quadreg, quadratic regression. You can arrow down to it or you can just hit the number 5, but then you have to hit enter. Okay, now this is going to depend on your calculator. If you have an 83, I think you just have to hit enter twice. If you have an 84 like mine up here, just keep hitting enter. Just don't do anything on that screen. Just keep hitting enter and then it'll show up. Now, what I'm interested are the A, B, and C values. So the calculator tells me A is -1, B is 6, and C is -5. So if I want to write my quadratic equation, I'm just going to plug those guys in for A, B, and C. So by equals -x squared plus 6x minus 5. And once you get the hang of that, that is going to be significantly faster than trying to solve a system like we did on the front. Okay, now let me have you, now everybody should have data in. So I'm going to have you guys try this one, but let me just walk you through just real quick how to get rid of the data in case you didn't have any in your calculator before. To get back there, you're just going to hit stat, you're going to hit edit, and if you want to get rid of data, arrow up to the top, hit the clear button, it's right underneath the arrow keys, and then hit enter. It'll wipe out that whole column. Just arrow over other column up to the top so the list 1 or list 2 is highlighted, hit clear, hit enter. Don't use the delete key, and that'll get rid of the data and you can start fresh. Okay, so I'm going to leave the lovely directions up here for you, and you try it with these 3 points. If anybody's having trouble, let me know. Okay. Are you guys, and make sure, oh, this one has a couple negatives, so make sure you guys use negative keys, don't use the subtraction sign. Okay. Anybody feeling good about theirs? These should be nice numbers. What'd you get for your quadratic equation here? Anybody get it? What'd you get? Oh, just like y equals, what'd you put in for A? Okay. What'd you put in for B? 4, yep. What'd you get for C? Did you get -7? You guys get -7? Okay. So, anybody not get that when you did that? Your A value should have been 1/2, B should have been 4, C should have been -7. Okay. Now, let's just do, I'm just going to do one of these because we're going to run low on time today because we have a little bit shorter class than normal. I'm just going to have us write this equation, and really, is my pen going to die right this second? Okay, sorry. I want to write this, that's what we got for part B, the one you guys just did kind of on your own. Write this in vertex form. Okay, so vertex form looks like this. A times x minus h squared plus k. Now, I can automatically start to write this. I can see the A value. It's the same in standard form in vertex form. So I can almost write most of this just looking at the standard form equation. How would you find h and k? Because that's really what I'm missing. Gabe, what do you think? Exactly. All you got to do is that negative b over 2a, that'll give you h, whatever that is, plug it back into the formula you just got right there, and that'll give you the k. So all I've got to do for h, negative b over 2a. So this question, it would be negative 4 over 2 times a half. So it'd be negative 4 over 1. So it should just be negative 4. What would that look like in the parentheses with the x? Exactly. Okay, opposite of what it looks like. So right there. So I need one more thing. I just need my k. So k is going to be whatever I get when I plug this in. So I'm going to do 1/2 times negative 4 squared plus 4 times negative 4 minus 7. Okay, I'm just doing this by hand real quick. That'd be 16. Half of 16 would be 8. 4 times negative 4 is negative 16, and then minus 7, so it would be negative 8 minus 7, which is negative 15. That's going to be my k. So then on the end here, I would just write minus 15. Is anybody having a question?